Welcome to this week's LoyalTV, where we'd like you to join us at the Cow Thieves Outlaws Reunion at Woolaroc, just outside Bartlesville. Just make sure you leave your six-shooter behind as we tell you the tale of how the famous Oilman Frank Phillips got this 91-year-old party started.
The West was something that was literally in his blood. He had the opportunity to meet with presidents of the United States, leaders of state, but if he had his preference, he liked sitting down with the cowboy, he liked sitting down with the roustabout. He was most comfortable with those guys. I think it's one of the reasons he had an affinity for the outlaw, because he thought that they were interesting. I think he liked their disregard for normal rules and that type of thing. So that was just all part of kind of what made him tick. In 1927, he hosted his first Cow Thieves and Outlaws Reunion party. And it was a party that was exactly what the name says. He invited the business people, the law enforcement, Native Americans, and he invited the outlaws that he knew of. They had two rules at the party. Everybody had to check their guns at the front gate, and the second rule was there was amnesty for 24 hours. So the outlaws could feel free that they weren't going to be arrested when they were here on the grounds. We even have photographs of the sheriff with his arm around the bank robber that he'd been chasing for 2 or 3 months, and it was King's X. They couldn't do anything about it for that period of time. Party was over and the chase began again. But it was an all-day party, and they did that for several years until really the Depression. Early 30s, they stopped having that party. But Mr. Phillips continued to do well. Phillips Petroleum Company prospered. He often said that if he could get a man to Woolaroc, he could sign any deal. And Frank Phillips signed a lot of deals here at Woolaroc. After building the lodge in 25, shortly after that, he bought the buffalo herd. We still have about 125 bison here on the property. You know, the museum is 50,000 square feet, and it's got a world-class collection of Southwest art. It's incredible. You know, people come to our museum and they walk in the front doors and they go, gosh, isn't this nice? And they leave 2 hours later going, I had no idea it was like this. People ask me today, you know, what's so special about Woolaroc? I maintain that if you ask 100 people that, you're going to get 100 different answers. But to me, when you drive through the gates of Woolaroc, you're entering into just a very special place. It's a bit like almost going back into time. You know, today we try to make all of our decisions based on 3 basic principles here at Woolaroc that haven't changed much since he was here. The first one is to preserve the history of the West. The second one is to educate, and the third one is to entertain. Cow Thieves and Outlaws Reunion, the party, it fits all 3 of those things. It may be a little heavy on the entertain, but trust me, it educates and it preserves a piece of the history of the West. So here you are 93 years later, and the purpose hasn't changed at all. In the same way, the party that he started in 1927, we fired it back up about 15 years ago. It's we call it the best party in the state of Oklahoma. And at first it kind of started off as a tagline, but now it really is. It's the best party in the state. We have about 900 people each year that come to it. It's the last Saturday of September, and it's a huge event down at the same location that Frank hosted his parties. And the success of that party has enabled us to do so many things here that we couldn't have done otherwise. It's raised over $1.5 million in the last 11 years. We've done improvements to the museum, built children's playgrounds, we've improved our walking trails, we've renovated the lodge home, all thanks to the success of that party. It's neat the way the whole thing has come full circle from what he dreamed back in the early 20s, and here we are still enjoying and still doing the same type of things. I think Frank Phillips would be amazed that what he dreamed of and what he created is still doing what he wanted it to do. He would love to be back at that party. He'd love to be back at that museum in the middle of that art show. I would hope that what we've been able to accomplish has exceeded even his expectations.
It's been said that on quiet nights, you can still feel the spirit of the Old West and hear the sounds of the best party in Oklahoma. Join us next week as we continue to tell the best Oklahoma stories you never heard, only on LoyalTV.